Hi everyone, this is Karen Leslie. I'm your WordPress fairy godmother. Today is the third part of a web review series. We've covered administrators as users, we've covered keeping your content up to date. And today is about links, forms, contact details. And specifically those I'm pulling out from the previous content one that I spoke about. Now, as always, if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll come back and answer them later, or contact me. So, contact details. It's really up to you as an individual as to what, or you as a business, as to what contact details you want on your website. Typically, there's email addresses, phone numbers, a contact form, and an address. The address is sometimes only in a privacy policy for how people can contact you if they have a concern. And I can understand if you work from home, I do as well, and you do not want your address on there. For me, I live in a regional area. Australia Post doesn't deliver out here, so we have to use a PO box anyway. But it's up to you about the address. There's normally, check your privacy policy. You may need something in there. I'm not a legal expert. But for the phone number, that's entirely up to you. I tend to have mine on my website. I do sometimes screen my calls. So if a call comes through and I don't know the number, just let it go through to voicemail and I can call them back. Or obviously, if I'm busy, then I'm not going to call until it's convenient or even check my phone until it's convenient. There are other numbers that you can get that can forward to you if you want like a generic number. If you do have your number on your website, you want people to be able to click on it. We use our phones a lot nowadays. So if somebody is scrolling, they're on your website, you want to make sure that they can just click on your number and call you. Some themes will have that it's clickable on the phone and not on a laptop or desktop. That's fine. Just make sure that it is clickable on your phone. Likewise, if you have email links, make sure that people can click on them no matter what device they're using. You don't want to have it's just it slows us down now. It's that one of those friction points. If I have to copy your email address from the website and then open up my email system and type and copy it in, it's just, you know, much simpler. One click, everything pops up and I can email you. The same with the phone. If your phone number isn't clickable and I'm on my device, it's like, okay, so what do I get a pen and pad? Can I copy it somehow? You know, it's just if you make it too hard, people will leave. We're trying to make this simple, okay? Really simple. So make them clickable. If you have a contact form, make sure you have some sort of spam protection on it. So this can be either using Google Capture. You can have there are various different forms that you can forms on a form, various different modes of spam protection that you can have. You can have invisible spam protection with some of the plugins for WordPress. You can have a mathematical ones. Just don't make them too difficult so that they have to enter like what's 1 + 1 equal. So there's various different forms, different modes of spam protection for your form. Make sure you have something on there, because otherwise you could get a lot of spam through the form. It doesn't always stop people actually typing in the spam, but it does stop the spam bots from automatically entering information into your contact form. The other thing, of course, is you want to make sure that you're getting the information from the contact form. So as part of your web review, part of your tasks for this video would be to check, is your phone number on there? Is it up to date? If it is it clickable? Same for your email address. Is it up to date? Is it clickable? Do they both work? Actually test calling yourself from your website, test sending an email, and test your contact form. Because contact forms can be working perfectly well in WordPress and you still don't receive them. Now, often that's because they've gone into spam. Now, I'm not an email expert. There's too much that can go wrong in the sending from and the receiving and the transport to and from. However, there are people that can help you specifically in email if you're not receiving them at all. It could be that they're bouncing back to somewhere and they're just not telling you. So it's always good to test these. Anywhere you've got links. If you've got a link to a lead generation, so like give me your email address and I'll give you this checklist type of thing. If you've got one of those, then test it. Does it still work? You'd be surprised that every so often something won't work. And people don't always tell you. I had a sign-up form, it worked perfectly for me. And then when somebody else tried to sign up, they couldn't do it. It just kept spinning around saying it was submitting, and it never actually went up to a thank you page. Yeah, I know. I found there was a little error in the back end. So yes, and was I pleased that that happened? Yeah, you can imagine how pleased I was. Yeah, not perfect. Try to be, but I'm not. So test your forms. Decide how often you're going to do these web reviews. Some of them won't be as frequent as others. You don't need the administrators. Unless you've got working with a lot of people, you don't need to have to check that very often. Your content, again, it depends on how much your content is changing. If you're putting blogs on there. And with this, with your contact links, again, you don't have to check them every day, every week. Every month, maybe, every quarter. If your website has a plugin form that you're using and you update that plugin, it's probably a good idea to test that the form still works. And that may be the trigger that you've updated the plugin, therefore let me go and check it still works. Yeah, that's always a really good habit to get into, that you do a backup first. If you do a plugin update and you know it's for something specific like the form, you then go and check that the form works. You check that it looks okay, and then you check that it actually works. Now, with my clients, I just routinely check that every month. It's on my checklist of what I check for them weekly and what I check for them monthly and what I check for them annually. I have all that. So check all your links. Check your menu options. Somebody came to me the other day and their website looked fine on the homepage. They checked, if you clicked on any of the menu links, the menu items, none of them worked. 404 errors. So check that as well, because we're checking links and the menu option is just another form of a link. So check your phone numbers, your emails, your contact forms. We've put in menu links just then as well. We want to reduce friction. When your ideal client lands on your website, we want to make sure they're being guided through really easily. And that's what the strategic website review is all about. I'll put a link to it with the description. But the strategic website review is a different way of looking at things because it's looking at your ideal client, your goals, and making sure all that is aligned so the customer knows at each step, what's the next step? What's the next step? How do they get closer and closer to you? Now, they can decide at any time, you know what, this isn't a good fit, and that's fine. But we want to make it easy for them so that even if they think, oh, I'm not sure that service is right for me, then at least they get in contact with you to ask about it. Less friction, less gaps, more clients, more money, more impact. That's what I'm about. That's what my business is about. This is Karen Leslie. I'm your WordPress fairy godmother. This has been part 3 of the web review. I will let you know when the last one happens. I still don't know how many of these I'm going to do. The number keeps increasing. Until next time, keep shining.